Now, I want to give you some advice about how you should craft your CV. Before I start, I'm not an HR expert. I'm not a recruiter, okay? I want just to talk about the project management topics you should really to focus on your CV. I'm not concerned if you should put your age, your address, how you want to be contacted, okay? I will left all of this to HR experts. But how I would craft my CV if I was applying for a job? Let's again split into 3 groups. The junior one, the PM, the junior PM, the PM, and the senior PM. Of course, they should craft 3 different CVs. My suggestion is that the junior should keep the CV to a maximum of 1 page. The PM, 1, and if you really have something powerful to say, you can maybe have 2 pages. But this is only very exceptional cases. In a senior, okay, 2 pages. I'm not talking about your biography. I'm talking about CV, just that. First thing, on all of them, I'm not discussing, as I said, your I would say, how do you want to present your name, address, age, the number of kids you may have. This is not what I want to cover here. But one thing, there is a topic called highlights. Every time you start a CV, you need to understand that most of the recruiters, they will spend 10 seconds, 15 seconds taking a look on who you are. And then they will do this absolutely first screening. On this highlight is where you want to catch the recruiter to move to the next stage, okay? To read the remaining. I know that many of them will say, oh, we read all CVs. I really don't know how to prove that, but my feeling is that they don't, unless it's a very specific case. So on this highlight, you should put 2 to 4 lines, and this is your biggest opportunities to catch the recruiter or to catch the opportunity. And this is also for the PM and for the senior. And what should you place here if you're looking for a job as a project manager? It's as much as you can your experience. Your experience in all the levels. On the senior and the PM, definitely. Here, you can mix with a little bit more of other means, your degree or your courses, but most experience. And what is important if you want to catch the attention is to put numbers. And what do I mean by numbers? This is in all cases, okay? Numbers and numbers. Numbers is how many projects? What's the budget of that project? How many people on that project? Your specific role on that project. Because numbers are easy to read, they're fast, and they give me, as someone reading your CV, almost immediate magnitude of what we are talking about. If I talk to you about led and manage an international project in aerospace involving 25 different contractors, 15,000 employees, and a budget of $5 billion, I know very clearly what kind of capability you have. Because unless you work for a completely nonsense or crazy company, you should be really senior to do that. So did you see in something like a half line, I got it. I got it. And this is your highlight. Something that you put up front. Because this, maybe in, I'm not talking about formatting, but maybe in bold or a little bit bigger, that will catch the eyes of whoever is reading your CV. The second one, if you are junior, you should put your degree, courses, experience, and other. Other means language, whatever. Other. Why you should put in this order, okay? Because you need to highlight, going back to this, you need to highlight what you have powerful. Because this is what's relevant. How you should start with experience if you have no experience. So this is why it's so important, this sequence. Your degree, because it's what you have as a junior, the courses, experience. And then here you talk about languages, international experience. For example, if you have lived abroad, whatever. But as you move through a project manager or a senior, then you should never put this way. Then experience becomes the first one. By far experience becomes the top one. And experience from the recent to the old. The first one, it's what is your current experience. Now, what is the work you are doing now? And then you put the older ones. This is the same, recent and old. Now talking about experience. When you talk about experience, it doesn't matter if it's here or here, okay? If you're talking after your degree or courses for a junior or up front, it's like a replay. Pay attention, a replay your highlights, but on each experience. You should never put, oh, I was a director of these whatever, and I manage 25 people. Okay, but what did you brought as a value? So always, you need to highlight in your experience, always, the value. The value. What is the, we are talking, if you can measure value in money or measure value in outreach, how many people you help. And second, complexity. You need to show, okay, value and complexity. Because you should never say, oh, I manage a construction of a house. Okay, that's nice. But what kind of house we are talking about here? You know, if it's a tiny house, okay, it's an experience. But it's very different than building a complex of 2,000 houses in Haiti, in the middle, just after the earthquake. Then did you see? It's quite different. So they are two universes, but always, my advice to you, this is again my personal advice. You should put numbers, value, complexity. What is the complexity you are talking about when you talk about this and this? Which kind? And of course, I don't need even to say, and I will repeat this later, you should tell the truth. And this I'm not even considering here. You should never, for obvious reasons, lie here, okay? And then on the other, you put here. But then on these two, and then you may decide, usually after experience, I would suggest degree, and then here, publications, if you have articles or something like that. Here also you can put, for example, let's suppose in your junior, you did a publication or an end of course work, or you did some portfolio, then you should put here also, probably even around this area here, your portfolio, okay? Your portfolio. But here is the same, your publications or your portfolio, and then other experience, okay? Then other experiences. One final thing about your CV, and this is just a visual. Imagine that this is your page. And let's suppose on the PM here and the senior PM, let me put 2 pages, okay? I'll put a small one here to fit on the flip chart, okay. My view. These highlights should be this amount of the page. I'm just distributing to you this amount of the page in every 3 cases. And the first one, okay, first page on the top. Then your degree, your courses and experience here, you should do like that. Degree, portfolio, plus courses, experience, other. I'm just giving you, of course, this is just qualitative. On the PM, it's something like this. Highlight, experience. Then degree, etc. Now on the senior, this is the highlight, experience. And the other things. Why I'm showing you this? Because it's pointless for you as a senior PM to show, okay, I did this degree and did that. I'm not saying again that this is something you should not be proud of. But if you're putting a CV is not a biography. A biography, you can put 25 pages and put whatever you want. But a CV is something that highlights who you are in order to get a job or to get a client. So what matters here? It's, okay, what is your experience? And here, diverse, complex, different ones. This is what will raise my attention. And of course, if someone junior here put 3 pages of experience, there is something. Maybe he or she does not know what we are talking about experience. Or maybe he or she is not junior. Because if you have 2 pages of absolutely incredible experience that you truly believe they are worth of 2 pages, then you are not junior anymore, you are senior. Did you get? So most of the time you need to be very cautious on that. Very cautious and very critic to yourself. Because of course, it's natural that we love ourselves, and this is very nice that we really should love ourselves, but not to a point to make us blindfolded, because I receive it so many times, CVs of people that are absolutely unqualified and they are able to write 2 pages of absolute garbage. Remember one thing, every time you put a CV out, the first thing that is in your CV is your most precious asset. Do you know what is it? Your name. Your name. This is your biggest asset. So don't put your name in something that is garbage, poorly prepared, or does not reflect who you are. This is an absolutely critical thing. So it's always like that. Of course, you can watch on YouTube 1 billion videos about that. Second, depending on the country you are applying, maybe you will put a photo or not. This is more towards the cultural aspect. For example, in Brazil, I'm not used to put photos on CV. I know that other countries they put, it's just a cultural aspect, so you need to be mindful. Another final thing I want to talk about this, it's the cover letter. It's the cover letter. Every time you write a cover letter, you need to be aware of what is the job you are applying. There is no such a thing as a generic cover letter. Because people that are reading, they will know it's a generic. You need to study the company. You need to put, okay, how do I add value as a project manager to Apple or to Boeing or to the government of Singapore or to the United Nations? How do I add value to them? So you need to do your research. And look, of course, most of the time, this includes myself, I have like a Lego. So I have a CV that has more than 2 pages. And every time I need to send out a CV, I just trim the CV with the most relevant experience for that specific client, for example. If that specific client that is aiming, when I see what it's something that is, I would say, more towards complexity, more towards infrastructure, whatever, I will try to frame my experience towards that, because then it will raise my chances that my CV or my proposal will move forward to other steps. It's always like that. There is no such a thing. I have a generic CV that is one size fits all. This is old. This is old. And this is why we have LinkedIn. And this is the topic of my next lesson.